I stumbled upon this video. Why is the Netherlands so rich?
Tell me why.
I noticed that within like a couple of days, within 7 days or something, now it's 10 days ago, it has over 300,000 views.
What?
So I thought, you know, this is maybe an interesting video to react to. It comes from a channel named Economics Nation, which has around 13,000 subscribers at the moment of filming. So it's not that big.
That's what she said.
For 13,000 subscribers to have a video with over 300,000 views, that's huge. Just like the other 200,000 people, I'm very curious to this video. Why is the Netherlands so rich? The original video and the channel are linked down below. Give them some love. Greetings from Tycho. And well, let's check this out. As always, let me know at tychofromamsterdam@gmail.com if you got any suggestions of what you want me to react to. Put reaction in the title and who knows.
This small country in Northern Europe is home to just over 17 million people. A good part of the territory is below sea level, which is why it is famous for its engineering works to face the challenges of constant flooding. It is also famous for being one of the most stable and wealthy countries in the world.
This is the Deltawerken all the way in Zeeland, which I have once crossed with the bike, but it's quite far away. If I ever do that, I'll film it again. If I ever do that. It was so windy. It was really, if you have the chance to cycle over there, it's awesome. It's very impressive.
By 2017, according to the World Bank, it had a GDP per capita of $48,000 higher than countries like Australia, Canada, or the United Kingdom. The questions addressed in the video are, what reasons explain the wealth of the Netherlands? How did the discovery of a natural gas field almost ruin the Dutch economic miracle? And how did such a small country become the world's second largest food exporter? One of the reasons that help explain the wealth of the Netherlands is trade. Its main port, the Port of Rotterdam, is the largest in Europe, ranking 10th among the world's busiest ports in 2019, above even the Port of Los Angeles in the United States.
I don't know much about the port in Rotterdam. I don't know anyone in Rotterdam, so I've just been there twice. And the first time I totally forgot. I was young, I was playing. There was some Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card tournament over there. And me and my buddies, we went there to play some cards, so didn't even see the world. I mean, didn't see anything of the city back then. And a few years ago, me, my ex, and her mother went there, and I showed them around. So how did I show them around in Rotterdam, you ask me, or maybe you don't because you want me to react to this video. I just investigated a little bit on the internet, this and that, and yeah, the nice cube house, etc. If you're from Rotterdam and watching this, let me know.
The Port of Rotterdam plays a very important role in the export and import of goods and raw materials, not only in the Netherlands, but also in Europe. In fact, it is often referred to as the largest German port because of its vital importance to the German economy, since most of the raw materials for German industry arrive through the Port of Rotterdam. But the importance of trade and the fact that it has the most important port in Europe is not new to the Netherlands. The Dutch have made international trade their main ally for centuries. Since the 17th century, the Dutch shipbuilding industry developed rapidly. The availability of windmills, a cheap source of energy, was present in almost every province. And the invention of the wind-powered sawmill made it possible to quickly process wood that was used to make ships. This enabled the port of
Okay, so it's really explaining it from the ground up.
Children, it's time for your history lesson.
Amsterdam to become the hub of European trade and to create the Dutch East India Company in 1602, which was considered the largest company in history. It was something like the first multinational with 150 trading ships, 50,000 employees, an army of 10,000 men, and 40 warships. It was like another state within the Netherlands. It had monopoly privileges and was sometimes granted colonizing functions on other continents. But the most important achievement of the Netherlands was that the Dutch East India Company obtained a monopoly on trade with Japan, and in turn, through Japan, managed to trade indirectly with China. And
Yeah. And now there's a little like attraction park or something.
So beautiful, guys. You should definitely visit House Ten Boss here in Nagasaki, Sasebo, Japan.
Never been there yet.
That was significant because these Asian countries traditionally distrusted the intentions of Western traders. So, for many years, this Dutch company was the only entrance to the Western world to Japan, which gives the Netherlands exclusivity to trade exotic goods from Asia throughout Europe. Therefore, from that time on, the north of what would become today the Netherlands would become one of the main intermediaries in international trade. In general, the Republican government of that time was in favor of free trade and the autonomy of each of the 7 provinces that were part of the country. It was also tolerant.
So there in the bottom left corner, that's where the Deltawerken are. See, there's a lot of water, more water here on this map than now.
Of the establishment of immigrants who were discriminated against in other parts of Europe, such as Jewish merchants and French Protestants. Bankers from northern Italy also arrived. All these educated immigrants contributed to making Amsterdam the world's financial and commercial center of the 17th century. In fact, the world's first stock exchange was established in Amsterdam.
Yeah, and that's, if I'm correct, at the place where now the Bijenkorf is standing. And there's still a stock exchange, and it's behind the Bijenkorf.
And that financial development also explains the current level of wealth in the Netherlands. The residents of that country were famous for their handling of finance and commercial credit. They created products and mechanisms for more and more people to access stock market investment. This attracted investors from all over Europe, so capital was abundant and, as a consequence of the abundant capital, interest rates were lower than in other parts of Europe. But this is not a thing of the past. Today, the Netherlands remains an excellent destination for investors and companies seeking stability and relatively low taxes.
Low taxes, okay.
This is why Amsterdam made headlines in early 2021 when the United Kingdom left the European Union, as the Amsterdam Stock Exchange overtook the London Stock Exchange as the largest stock trading center in Europe. However, this friendliness to investment and private initiative not only benefits foreign capital as claimed by those who consider the Netherlands as a simple tax haven. In one way or another, this environment stimulates the Dutch entrepreneurial spirit. According to the 2019 Global Entrepreneurship Index, the Netherlands ranked 8th with the best score among 137 countries evaluated. In short, free trade, respect for the cult diversity of immigrants, and having created the first stock exchange, has attracted traders, investors, and entrepreneurs for centuries. In addition, its privileged location in the center of Europe and having wealthy neighbors such as Germany, Belgium, the United Kingdom, and Denmark are reasons that may partly explain why this country is so rich and enjoys the best quality of life indicators. However, as in all countries, the Dutch economy went through a difficult period. In the 1970s, the Netherlands discovered large deposits of natural gas in the North Sea. This, on the one hand, reduced external dependence on energy sources. But on the other hand, this sudden increase in wealth turned out to be a curse because it contributed to an unsustainable expansion of the welfare state.
I have no idea what to say about this. Yeah, I have no response. I mean, I'm supposed to react, right? That's the point.
Public spending increased from 40% of GDP in 1973 to 58% in 1983. It was invested in generous social programs that encouraged healthy people to leave their jobs to rely on state benefits. Unemployment rose from 5% to over 17% in a few years, and economic growth was virtually zero despite natural gas revenues. Consensus on an urgent change in economic policy direction was reached in the early 1980s with an agreement between labor unions and employers. Wage increases and social benefits were moderated to stimulate labor participation and job creation. Public spending was also reduced, and indeed, the unemployment rate had fallen by the end of the 1980s to levels of 5%. The idea had begun to spread that the creation of private jobs was the best social policy. The unemployment rate would rise again to 7% in 2014, but in 2020, in the middle of a global recession, it was only 3.8%, one of the lowest among all OECD countries. Sometimes, due to the success of the employment generation policies, the Dutch case has been considered one of the employment miracles, along with other countries such as Switzerland, Australia, and Ireland. But if there is a miracle in this country, it is that it is the second largest exporter of food in the world with such a small territory.
So, what I'm now thinking while watching this video, very interesting. Someone made this and grabbed a lot of stock footage everywhere and a lot of images and, I don't know, stock footage, like that drone footage also. You're not even allowed to fly your drone here in Amsterdam because we're next to the airport. It's just, you know, I myself, you know, I film everything. And what do I want to say with this? I just respect it when people make themselves, you know, the shots. They film or they write their own songs. But okay, I guess he wrote his script. It sounds like a real voice, but just a little bit like, almost like a robot voice, but it's not a robot voice, I guess. I am not a robot!
The climate, fertile soil, and flat land make the Netherlands a perfect place for agriculture. Crops grow relatively easily, but perhaps the most important feature of Dutch agriculture is the use of technology and mechanization of processes. They use robots and machines for almost everything. Their skilled labor force also plays an important role in this field. Wageningen University is the best agricultural education institute in the world. It has numerous research facilities where they are constantly looking for more efficient ways of farming. So, it is not surprising that much of the agricultural production is done behind closed doors in huge, state-of-the-art greenhouses.
Wow, that's new to me. Wageningen, yeah.
So, innovation, geographical conditions, and skilled labor explain part of the Dutch export success. However, there is another reason. About 60% of the products that enter the Netherlands leave the country within a short time in the form of re-exports. This is known as the Rotterdam effect, referring to the Dutch port mentioned at the beginning. For some countries, it is faster and cheaper to import through the Dutch port. In 2015,
the Rotterdam effect. So that could be a movie. The Rotterdam effect. What's the other one? When you're taking hostage, and then the syndrome. Okay, I'll just pop it up on the screen right now. Also a city name.
It's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome?
Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome.
Less than half of the exports corresponded to domestic exports. The rest were re-exports. That is, products coming from other countries that only made transit in the port, but statistically are considered as exports from the Netherlands. In short, this Rotterdam effect boosts the numbers of food exports from this European country.
So that Rotterdam effect actually reminds me of something that Gary Vee is talking about to all time. You go to garage sales, you buy and you resell it for a higher price. You buy it and you resell it. I mean, that's, if I understand, the Rotterdam effect with a little bit profit.
However, this doesn't diminish the fact that it is one of the most innovative, free, and prosperous countries in the world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
I'm still not sure. Is it a bot or is it a real person? Economics Nation. Okay, so it's all about economics. Well, that makes sense, because I thought it was a little bit, yeah. But it's just about economics, the World Channel, probably. So these are all their videos. It's sorted by most popular. Oh, it's the second most video already. Most watched video in 11 days. That's impressive, but I myself, I think I would have clicked away the video if I was just watching it without making this reaction video. Yeah, what can I say? The trade, the VOC, the United East India Company. Did I learn something new? Yes, about Wageningen, that they're doing something with robots planting flowers or something. Robots are doing the agriculture. And they're gonna take over the world eventually. Let's first plant some trees. Make them like us. Make them like us, not make them like us. Anyways, what did you think of this video? Was it a bit too many numbers? I myself am a language man, so all these numbers and stuff, if it gets too much, you know, unless it's on my bank account, otherwise it's confusing. But well done, Economics Nation. It's a fairly new channel, right? Yeah, 6 months ago they started, so pretty good, pretty good. Just the voice, I would just change, I mean, make it more human. Maybe because it's, if you got a voice like this, like a robot voice, it's more appealing to people, I guess, because my voice, for example, some people might hear it and click away like, oh no, I'm not gonna watch this dude with a voice like that. But if you got a robot voice, everyone agrees like that's how a robot sounds. And if you're still here, you might enjoy me reacting to Charlie West, not Charlie Sheen. I said Charlie Sheen in the outtake. Charlie West, who's reacting to a Spanish woman who's rambling on about how much she hates the Netherlands. Check that video out, and I'll see you in a moment. Check out Charlie Sheen.